Welcome back to another explainer. Look, today we're speaking directly to you, the business leaders, the decision makers. We're tackling something that honestly gets a bad rap as just another bureaucratic hurdle. But actually, it's a massive strategic business advantage. We're talking about corporate compliance and anti-bribery systems and how to use them to bulletproof your organization. Okay, let's dive right into this. When we hear the word bribery, our minds instantly go to the legal side, right? Somebody broke the law, heavy fines are coming, maybe worse. But what if we completely reframe that? What if bribery is actually a fundamental cultural issue inside an organization? Because honestly, it's a culture issue that directly hits your brand's trust, tanks your ESG scores, and can literally lock you out of global markets. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to quickly cover what ISO 37001 actually is, why you absolutely need to apply it, the big urgent updates in the brand new 2025 version, the 6-step process to get there, and finally, how to plan out your roadmap. Let's get to it. Section 1. What exactly is ISO 37001? Let's define what we're working with here. At its absolute core, ISO 37001-2025 is the internationally recognized framework for an anti-bribery management system, or ABMS for short. It's built to help your organization prevent, detect, and respond to bribery. Now, quick caveat here. Having this standard doesn't magically guarantee bribery will never, ever happen. Human beings are involved, right? But what it absolutely does is act as a credible, globally recognized signal to everyone that your company has serious controls in place and is deeply, fundamentally committed to integrity. So, to actually build that system, you need a few core controls. You'll see terms popping up here like anti-bribery function and due diligence. And I know it's really easy to look at those and just see a mountain of mind-numbing paperwork. But don't. Think of these as practical, actionable business shields. Due diligence just means really truly knowing who you're hiring and who you're partnering with. And an anti-bribery function, that's just dedicating specific independent personnel to oversee your system. It's basically just proactively protecting the house. Moving on to Section 2. Why apply it? Let's look at the hard business case for putting this system in place. The contrast here is honestly night and day. On one side, the costs of bribery are brutal. We're talking severe legal risks, totally destroyed reputations, and getting completely locked out of lucrative international bids. But flip that over, and the competitive advantages of an ISO 3700 certification are huge. You massively reduce your legal exposure, you unlock access to global supply chains that demand strict compliance, and, this is key, you significantly strengthen the governance pillar of your ESG profile. And trust me, for international investors, that G in ESG, it is totally non-negotiable these days. All right, Section 3. What's new in the 2025 version? Time to look at the urgent updates that just dropped. And this brilliantly illustrates how the 2025 edition is really all about refinement and alignment, not some total reinvention. The core structure is still there, but check out these key changes. There's a major new focus on third-party due diligence, meaning you really have to monitor your intermediaries, joint ventures, and M&A activities. It also brings in a harmonized structure, which is great because it just plugs right into your existing ISO systems, like 9001. And surprisingly, it even requires organizations to factor climate change into their anti-bribery management system. Pretty interesting shift, right? But here is the real kicker. The absolute biggest shift in this 2025 standard is the explicit requirement to foster an anti-bribery culture. The source material hits this point hard. A system only truly works when it becomes the living, breathing culture of the company. It can't just be a dusty stack of policies sitting in a compliance officer's desk drawer. It has to be in the company's DNA. Now, looking at the transition timeline, you can definitely feel a sense of urgency. The brand new version was just published on February 3rd, 2025. So if your company currently holds that older 2016 certificate, you've got a very strict window. The absolute hard deadline to transition over to the 2025 standard is February 28, 2027. Look, no need to panic, but you do need to act. Honestly, this is a prime opportunity to jump ahead of the curve while your competitors are still dragging their feet. That brings us to Section 4, the 6-step process. Let's map out exactly how you get this done. Here's the playbook, clearly mapped out from A to Z. Step 1, you survey and assess your specific bribery risks. Step 2, train your team and build out the documentation. Step 3 is the rollout, actually applying it to your daily operations. Step 4, you audit yourselves internally to make sure it's working. Step 5, bring in the external auditors for a 2-stage review.
And finally, step 6, you get your certificate and you maintain that system. It's highly structured, it's very logical, and it is 100% manageable.
So, what's the timeline on this? Well, typically, achieving this certification takes somewhere between 3 to 6 months. Now, of course, that depends a lot on your organization's current internal controls. If you've already got decent compliance practices running, hey, you're halfway there. The main takeaway here is that this isn't some endless corporate black hole of a project. It's measurable, it's finite, and it has a very clear finish line.
All right, last up, section 5, planning your roadmap. Let's talk about the absolute most critical element here, your people. As we said earlier, culture is literally everything, and you don't get culture without training. There are 4 essential training tiers you need to invest in here. First, basic awareness training for the whole staff, so everyone is singing from the same song sheet. Second, specialized internal auditor training for your key folks. Third, deep dive leadership training for the anti-bribery function. And fourth, this is critical right now, if you're already certified, you desperately need transition training to bridge the gap to the 2025 standard. Putting resources into these specific tiers is exactly what turns a piece of paper into an actual company-wide culture of integrity. Now, if you're operating in Vietnam and you need to get this off the ground, the source material specifically points out a few expert consulting and certification services. You can reach out to STCVN, ISC Global, or Duc Luong Services. They offer the exact B2B support, gap analysis, and training you need to smoothly transition your company to that 2025 standard without the headache. We're going to wrap out this explainer with a final thought for all you leaders out there. Compliance, it's really no longer just a legal checkbox. It is a powerful, proactive investment in your company's future reputation and its global market value. So you've got to ask yourself, will you invest in protecting your business today, or are you willing to risk the whole shebang tomorrow? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and keep learning.